Hello, and welcome to On the Turf, hosted by three guys who have never been on the turf. My name is Arjun Ryan.
I'm Shribam Khanda.
And I'm Rohan Patel.
And obviously, week one is over. We have week two ahead of us, and we have, for the second time going this year, Monday Night Football. Last year, we brought him on for Steelers-Browns, and we have Monday Night Football again, Steelers-Browns. Welcome, Adam Hamdan, back to the show. Thank you for coming back, Adam. We're happy to have you back to talk about the Browns' surprising win in week one.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. Love On the Turf.
Okay, and before we get into week one overreactions and talking about week two, we're recording this on Tuesday night, and last night was an emotionally gutting night. I can only speak for myself here. It was one of the hardest things I've ever had to see in sports. Aaron Rodgers, 4 plays into his Jets career, tore his Achilles. I'd like to just tell a brief story here. I was coming back to D.C. I was on a plane. My plane took off at approximately 8:06 p.m. I turned on airplane mode as I got into the plane, thinking I'm so excited to see the Aaron Rodgers-led Jets when I get off this plane. I take this phone off airplane mode, and then lo and behold, the plane lands at 8:45, and I see Zach Wilson is starting for the Jets. And then I see the injury, and then all the news that follows. And guys, it was a hard night for me. The Jets still won in miraculous fashion. Couldn't have written a better script, but we'll talk about the Jets later on. But what were your reactions to the injury? I know you guys have more complicated feelings towards Rodgers than I do, but please tell your stories. Where were you when it happened?
I'll use Camille's words to describe this. He was texting us about it. I think he summed it up pretty well. Who could have predicted a 40-year-old getting injured on the first drive? The Jets decided to pin their hopes on a 40-year-old who sucked last year and tossed him out behind a trash O-line on a turf stadium. The hype was insane. And I think that encapsulates what happened. I feel bad for him. I mean, it's an unfortunate circumstance. You never see when a player, especially of that caliber, go down. But, I mean, it's not the most insane thing. He's old. You put him behind what's objectively not the best O-line he's played behind, probably the worst O-line he's ever played behind. And 4 games in, that's what you get. And I think the Jets are going to find themselves they do find themselves in a very rough situation. And I think Aaron Rodgers might have seen his last snap as a football player.
Dude, you're gonna make me cry. God damn it. Fuck.
I'm sorry, but it's just the way it is. I mean, am I wrong? I mean, a 40-year-old coming back from an Achilles tear, that's something I've never heard of.
No. Yeah, I agree. Everyone wants to have that kind of Peyton Manning ending, like going out on top, but the NFL is a very unforgiving place. Like, if he can pull a Peyton Manning and come back from this injury and have like a defense carry him to the Super Bowl, that'd be great, but it might just be his time.
Yeah, I was actually studying for a biotest while this happened, so I'm not really not really the same as Arjun, but my friends were watching the game, and I heard like shouting because I was in the study room and people were like screaming at a TV, and so that's when I found out. I checked my phone, probably not as like, revealing as like Arjun's like plane ride, not that dramatic, but Rodgers is he's kind of old, but I guess like optimistically, like I honestly still think the Jets are a very good team. Like Zach Wilson, like I know like he didn't have the best rookie year, but he sat behind Rodgers like throughout an offseason. Like he's learned from him. In the preseason, he looked pretty good. Like I know he's not the same as Aaron Rodgers, but I still think this Jets team can be very competitive. Like defensively and like I guess special teams, they're great, right? And if they can be competitive with the Bills, and I know Josh Allen did not have his best night, I still think that a defense that held the Buffalo Bills to, I think, 13 points is a pretty damn good defense and can probably hang with pretty much.
So that brings us to our first big segment of the day. We know everyone likes to overreact to week one. It's tried and true in fantasy football, and also applies to the NFL as well. Everyone's selling their stock on certain teams, buying stock on other teams, especially when they have beatdowns like the Cowboys and Niners gave to a couple teams this week. But, I'm going to give you guys some overreactions people are talking about throughout the NFL world this week. You tell me, is this an overreaction or an appropriate reaction? Is this something we can, maybe expect to happen? So let's start with the fun one. We saw this team on Thursday night last week. The Lions went to Kansas City. They hung the banner, and the Lions came out the victors, 21-20. So, overreaction or appropriate reaction, the Lions are legitimate NFC contenders.
Ooh, I'll go first. I think they are a contender for the NFC. I think like when you think about like a contender, it's not necessarily like the ones that are gonna win the NFC. I think I can only name 3 teams better than the Lions. Like that would be the 49ers, the Eagles, and the Cowboys. I don't like. I mean, like they're probably the best team outside of those 3 teams. And honestly, if I think of a team that can be competitive, like the intangibles, like I feel like the Lions have that. Like Aiden Hutchinson looked pretty scary. Jared Goff, like he's like a really good quarterback now with the Lions. Like I wouldn't write him off either. This is a team that stayed very competitive with the Chiefs, and I know the Chiefs didn't have any receivers, but their pass rush is amazing from the Lions, and most importantly, their O-line is very, very good. I think in the trenches, the Lions will dominate, and they have so many weapons that we all consider like very. I still think they're still very underrated. So yeah, I think they're a contender for the NFC, but that being said, I wouldn't take them to win the conference, but they are a contender, yes. Not an overreaction.
Hey, Shree, that was good. Try to keep it a little quicker.
Yeah, I got you.
As we go around. Yeah, okay. Rohan.
Yeah, I like the Lions. I think they're a bit better than I thought they would be. I'm still going to say it's an overreaction. The Chiefs, granted, they're reigning champions. They're missing their second and third best players. I agree the offensive line looked good, but they weren't playing a top 3 defensive tackle who would have helped, I think, in the run defense for the Chiefs, and they weren't playing with the Chiefs' best option. Lions look good. I think it's too early to say that they're a legit contender. They're still a stratosphere below the Eagles, the Cowboys, the Niners, who I think are really going to be the ones who are making noise come playoff time.
Yeah, I think I kind of agree a lot with Rohan that it's a bit of an overreaction. I certainly do like the Lions. Look, you got a QB that's gone to the Super Bowl and Jared Goff before. You got good guys and like Amon-Ra and crew. But at the end of the day, the NFC is and always will be a bit of a bloodbath because it's any man's kind of game. They certainly have a shot, but I don't know if I'd take them over a team like the Niners.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, I'm gonna go with Shree here. I think they are legitimate contenders. I would even go as far. I know you guys aren't gonna like this, but I would even go as far to say, I'm not sure how amazing the Eagles are gonna look this year without their 2 coordinators gone. I think the Niners and Cowboys are ahead of them, but I would say the Lions have a shot to be that number 3 in the conference, so they're definitely contenders for me.
Stuff. You just say stuff, bro.
Okay, Steve. Like
you just
I don't think
you just say things.
I've been on the Eagles regression for a while, and I think it's going to happen this year. I think they'll be playoff contenders, but
I want to know.
I'm not sure. I don't know.
I want to know.
Let's go to the next one. Rohan, you're going to like this one. Tua Tagovailoa. I texted Rohan at the end of this game because I'll admit when I'm wrong. I've been kind of on Tua, not because I think he's a good player when he's healthy, and I think the injury history warped my perception of him, but Tua Tagovailoa had an amazing game, nearly 500 yards, and silenced all the critics, I think, with that performance. But if healthy, Tua Tagovailoa, the Miami Dolphins quarterback, will be an MVP, a top MVP candidate this year. Overreaction or appropriate reaction? I'll go really quickly. I think there's an overreaction. Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert still exist. Maybe not Justin Herbert, but Tua needs to show me some consistency, and I hope he proves me wrong, but I think it's an overreaction based off one game against a Brandon Staley defense.
Incorrect take. Not an overreaction. Appropriate reaction. Let me read the stats. 28 for 45, 466 yards, 3 touchdowns, an interception, oops, and 110 passer rating. I mean, and it was everything you could have asked for, too. I mean, he did this all, and he performed well in the clutch. Leads a game-winning touchdown drive when they need it the most. Again, everything you possibly could have asked for. Yes, maybe not the best defense in the league, but it's not like you're playing against a bunch of scrubs. You got Joey Bosa, you got Khalil Mack on the defensive line, you got Derwin James in the secondary. This isn't by any means a Chargers defense that is awful. The guy picked up Eric Kendricks too. So this is not a bad unit. They have the star power on that defense. And Tua simply, along with Tyreek Hill, who shouldn't go unmentioned here, simply carved them up. I mean, a near flawless game. So and he had this last year too. I mean, before the injury started coming in, he was an MVP candidate. I don't know. I mean, I thought you were on the right track there, Arjun, but then you said it's an overreaction. So I don't know where you're coming from exactly. You're nearly there. I think you'll get there slowly.
I'm just saying he doesn't play a Brandon Staley defense every week. That's all I'm gonna say. He's got to play Belichick twice. He's got to play Sean McDermott twice, and he's got to play the Jets defense twice. Anyway,
see how that goes. I'm not scared.
Okay. Here's the thing, right? Like, also, I just want to say, like, I said it like last week. I felt like this game was going to be exactly like how the Dolphins played the Ravens last year, and it literally turned exactly like that, at least from Tua's stat line. So, just want to shout myself out there once before I give my answer. But that being said, I think like if he's healthy, I think he can be an MVP candidate. I don't think that's an overreaction. Like, yes, like there are health concerns and things like that, but like the question is phrased like if healthy. And we've seen it last year, we've seen it this year. I don't think in terms of consistency, yeah, it would be great to have more, but if you have Tyreek Hill, I feel like he is probably the most dangerous player, non-QB player in the NFL. So regardless of how your defensive scheme is, like he always has Jalen Waddle, and having him as a wide receiver too is still like pretty freaking amazing. So I think Tua can be an MVP candidate if he's healthy. Not an overreaction.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna take it even a step farther, just be even more out of pocket.
call the MVP.
I don't even think that. I think that not only will Tua be an MVP candidate, but I think Tyreek Hill also will be an MVP candidate.
Whoa,
that's interesting.
Like, okay, this man had what, 200 yards last game?
215, yeah.
And Tua, if healthy, is a very dangerous threat. That trifecta between him, Waddle, and Hill is absolutely insane. And like you said, there's no better like non-quarterback or no more dangerous non-quarterback player than Tyreek Hill in the NFL. And I fully believe that. And I think this offense is primed and dangerous. And assuming they're going to win games, assuming Tua and Tyreek and co stay healthy, like they all are going to be dangerous threats for the MVP.
I think Justin Jefferson would like a word, but
that's fair. That's very fair.
But I think
Travis
Tyreek
Kelce. Travis Kelce too.
And Travis Kelce. But
that's very fair. Yeah.
But I think Tyreek is probably in the best position to truly one-handedly lift a team and lift a quarterback higher than maybe those players.
At least like an offensive player of the year kind of thing. Yeah,
definitely.
All right, next one. This was by request of Rohan that we put this one in. The Seattle Seahawks was a team I was very high on going to the season. I thought the roster looked great. They went out to a 13-7 lead against the Rams, and then the wheels fell off the moment both their tackles got injured, losing 30-13 against the Rams this past weekend. So, overreaction or appropriate reaction, the Seahawks were one-hit wonders last year.
I'll go
I'm
first.
going to say...
you can go, sir.
Sorry, I'll go really quickly. I'm going to say this is an overreaction. I think once their tackles are healthy, this is still a really dangerous football team. Let's not forget, Pete Carroll's still a great coach. Geno Smith, even if he regresses a little bit, they still have a good run game. They still have amazing weapons. And I think that defensive talent, we forget that McVay has kind of outcoached Carroll at multiple points. I wouldn't take too much out of this. It's still week one. So, overreaction.
Yeah, I agree there completely. I think more so it's not just like I feel like they're a lock for the wild card. I guess going into the season, I thought they were a lock for the wild card because the NFC outside of just like there are a lot of wild card. There are like a couple of wild card spots that I feel like are always like up there. Anyone can grab them, and I feel like the Seahawks have done that last year, and they will do it this year. And even if Geno regresses, like they're still there. So I personally think it's an overreaction.
Yeah, I'll go so I can save Rohan his big crescendo at the end. I still like the Seahawks. DK's my guy. Got a lot of trust in Pete Carroll. He's gotten the job done in the past. I still think they're probably like the second best team in the division behind like the 49ers, and they can be pretty dangerous. Like week one's happened. We've seen Burrow and the Chiefs get blown out in week ones in years past to make deep playoff runs. So I think like Pete Carroll's earned a bit of slack.
You know what I'm going to say. I think it's an appropriate reaction, and I said this before the season started. I think I had the Seahawks going 8-9 or 9-8 and missing the playoffs. I mean, and I think this game kind of showed it. Geno wasn't on his game. Granted, I think the Seahawks are historically a team that tends to start off a little bit slow and then they get it going. But I mean, what was more concerning for me was the fact that their defense, which I think was something that people were talking about a lot. You got some stars in your secondary and like Tariq Woolen, Quandre Diggs. I don't know if Jamal Adams counts anymore.
Devin Witherspoon.
Oh yeah, and the guy that just drafted Devin Witherspoon. And then what happens? Tutu Atwell, 6 catches, 119 yards. Puka Nasua, 10 catches, 119 yards.
Dude, he's on my waiver wire right now.
He's on everyone's waiver wire right now.
I really want
Adam, is he on yours?
What? Who?
Puka Nakua.
Oh no, I need to put him on mine.
Yeah.
Ah, shit.
And I mean, and again, these are receivers that are objectively not Cooper Kupp, and they diced up the Seahawks. And granted, you can make the argument about their tackles, but their defense didn't show it the way it needed to. I think this tells me two things: the Rams and Matthew Stafford are still good. I think I think they can make a playoff run. On the other hand, Seahawks, not high on them at all. I think Geno might have been a one-hit wonder. I think this defense may not be able to hold up.
All right, next one. Sticking in the NFC, this was a great one for me. Jordan Love threw 3 touchdowns en route to an absolute destruction of the Chicago Bears. 3 touchdowns from Jordan Love. Defense got a pick 6. This is the Packers team that I thought I was seeing last year and that I picked for the Super Bowl at the beginning of last season. Great defense, great young defensive talent, easy completions. Aaron Jones get him involved all the time. And this team didn't even have Christian Watson. So, overreaction or appropriate reaction, this is just a simple statement. The Packers are back. This is an appropriate reaction. This is a team I think has so much talent. I think Jordan Love has earned his time. I think this is going to be a really destructive team, and I think they're firmly in the NFC race right now for that NFC North, and potentially we'll talk further once we get later in the season. But I really think this team has a lot of upside. I think Jordan Love looked great. I think the play calling was fantastic, and I think this team is more than Aaron Rodgers now. And I think that they have a really good recipe for success.
All right, I'll go first.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good.
When were they ever here? like was it 2010? Like 2012?
Like they were in the NFC champion. They've been in the NFC playoff race since Aaron Rodgers has been there.
Well, yeah. I think the year. The year before last, they were.
They were in like the NFC championship, but they have historically just been allergic to getting over the hump. Is kind of the thing. So, I guess like if you want to say like they're back in the competitive race, like, I mean maybe. But I think this is a team that just like, not to hate culture-wise, just cannot get over the hump and has not been able to in like over a decade. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I grew up on the Packers. I like them. I was partial to Aaron Rodgers. But like, this team lived and died in the early 2010s.
Yeah.
Yikes.
I have like a different take on this. Like, the last time, the Bears beat the Packers, I was 14 years old. And I'm 18 now. I'm in college. So the last time they beat them was when I was in 8th grade. So I don't think like, just beating the Bears is just like, it's like a confirmation that the Packers are back. Like you beat like one of like the bottom 5 teams in the NFL, and like that's expected. Like I feel like any other team, maybe except the Vikings, would be able to like make it a 2-score game, 3-score game, like pretty easily, unless you're a bottom 5 team. So beating the Bears is not a litmus test for the NFL, and definitely not a litmus test for making the playoffs. So no, the Packers are not back, and this is a complete overreaction.
Wow, I didn't expect that from you, Sheree. You know what, Sheree, that was a really convincing argument. I'm with you. The Packers are not back. I was going to say they were, but then I started hearing you talk, Sheree, and I have to agree.
No, you guys are right. The Bears do look dreadful.
Yeah, I think it's more so that we talked about the Bears being maybe possible fringe playoff contenders, and they actually are nowhere near that. They just made the Packers look really good. I mean, this is a Packers team. Love looked great, don't get me wrong, but I'm looking at the rushing stats right now. I'm not particularly impressed. Only 92 yards on the ground. A.J. Dillon was particularly atrocious with 13 carries, only 19 yards. Again, I
forget
said
about Aaron Jones.
Started.
Just gonna forget about Aaron Jones.
Aaron Jones was 9 for 41. Better stat line.
With like two passes, like receiving touchdowns. Come on now.
No, there's okay. Again,
against the Bears, I think the Bears are the operative word here.
Bears are the operative word here. And I stick to the fact that I believe this Packers team, if Jordan Love's going to succeed, and if they're going to be a team that actually contends and challenges other top teams, it starts with the running game.
Yeah.
And the running game, Jordan Love did a great job, don't get me wrong. He's not going to be able to do that against other top teams and against better secondaries. It really starts with that running game. And for me, it wasn't quite there where it needed to be. Also, their defense, I don't really count it if you're playing the Bears, especially if the Bears are still being the Bears. So I'm not down on the Packers. I just think it's too early to say that they're fully back and they're going to be contenders.
All right, now we don't need to talk about Sunday Night Football, 40-0. We know the Cowboys are good. I think they proved that, and the Giants are regressing. So let's go to Monday Night Football. A couple stories here. Obviously, not much happened during this game. But let's go to the Bills first. Josh Allen, 4 turnovers, was not a good game from him. Probably one of the worst games of his career, especially since his leap here. But overreaction or appropriate reaction, Josh Allen and the Bills, they've hit their ceiling, and they've peaked already, and this is the start of a downturn. I picked this team to win the AFC East. I'm not sure how confident I am in that anymore. I think the loss of Brian Dable has really hurt Josh Allen. This looked like the team that almost lost to Skylar Thompson and got destroyed by Joe Burrow at home in the playoffs. I think they have hit their ceiling. I think they might make the playoffs this year, but I don't know if they're going to make any noise. Appropriate reaction for me.
Yeah, I'll go second here. First of all, Camille, screw you. I told you last week. First of all, the dude gaslighted me into thinking that the Bills were going to win the division. So I actually changed my predictions after we had our episode because of him. And I shouldn't have been gaslighted because I had the Jets winning the division, but that wasn't. I don't know how that's going to play out with Rodgers being injured. But come on now. 3 interceptions, atrocious decision making, terrible defense. Actually, not terrible defense, but come on now. Where's the offense? Where is that Josh Allen amazing playmaking? I mean, Diggs was great. They had a connection, but it's the Jets defense, which I know. But come on, you got to look better out there. This is a team that's been to the AFC Championship on multiple occasions. They've been competitive with Patrick Mahomes. They've been one of the best teams in the NFL. And I think Rohan, what's your record that you had them this year?
I run 10-7 or 11.
Oh, you had 10-7. Sorry, I don't know, but I had them originally as a 7 seed, 10-7 record, and then Camille gaslighted me into making them an 11-6 4th seed. But now I don't even think I want to take them for the playoffs. But that might be an overreaction in itself. But yes, I think the Josh Allen and the Bills have hit their ceiling. I think 2 years ago, whenever they had their good year, but I think they'll still make the wild card. Sorry, Camille.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump on that. I'm gonna say not an overreaction. Camille, you can make a lot of money, I think, as an attorney because your argumentation skills are out of this world.
Yeah, convinced all of us.
or maybe you should be like a salesman or something because he sold me. Yeah, he was talking about he made me think I was crazy for betting against the Bills. I completely changed my predictions on them. I don't think I'm that crazy in retrospect. I mean, I was hoping this offense would take at least another small step. Josh Allen continues to try to do too much. I don't think they have enough weapons for him. Diggs is good. Gabe Davis is not the complimentary second receiver we thought he was. He doesn't have a solid underneath option, I don't think. I'm thinking back to Cole Beasley. He needs someone like that who can be a solid option who he can check down towards or he can make on his second, third reads rather than just throwing it deep, because that's not working for him. And obviously, offensive coordinator, offensive scheme is not working for him. I think they have hit their ceiling. Defense came to play. They were fine, but I don't know how they fare in other games against better offenses when there's more pressure on them. And again, I mean, this was a perfect opportunity to pick up an easy win. You're going against Zach Wilson. You have a lead at halftime, and you blow it. I mean, those are games you gotta win. And if the Bills can't win these types of games, how can I expect them to compete in the second half of the season when they're going through a hellish schedule? I don't see it.
Yeah, no, I agree. You all are making compelling points. And when I look at the AFC East, the Dolphins are a good team that are dangerous. The Patriots are very balanced. And even if the Jets don't have Aaron Rodgers, they have a lot of good weapons that can at least make a competitive game against the Bills. This is going to be a very, very tough division. And especially with a team like the Bills. Look, I love Josh Allen. Diggs is nice with the ball. They're great. It's just not enough to be a 2-man show. And I feel like especially ever since that like championship game loss in overtime to like the Chiefs way back when, they
That
have
was a
just gone
divisional,
like
yeah.
yeah. No, like a few years ago, they've just gone less far and less far back like every single year.
Hmm.
And I just think they hit their peak like a few years ago.
All right,
Still are.
let's go to week 2. We have a really great slate of games coming up in week 2. We brought Adam on to talk Browns Steelers. We're going to end with that. But let's start off. We have another AFC North matchup before we get there. The Ravens going to Cincinnati. We didn't even talk about Joe Burrow and how bad the Bengals were in week 1. Was it the Browns defense? Was it the Bengals being out of sync with Burrow being injured, not being in training camp, all of that? We'll see on Sunday. Cincinnati's favored by 3.5. Interesting line. I thought Baltimore would be favored in this, to be honest with you. But I think Cincinnati is pissed. I think Joe Burrow's pissed. I think they're going to come back with a vengeance. I think Cincinnati's going to win this game. Lamar looked very shaky against the Texans, and they were the Texans. I think quarterbacks like Burrow, Mahomes, you get them pissed, and we'll talk about this with the Mahomes and the Jaguars next. I think they're going to have a really good game. So I'm going to take the Bengals in this one. I'll say 2017 classic AFC North gritty football game, and Burrow leads a last-minute drive to take this team to their first win of the season.
Yeah, I agree with Arjun. There's just a couple of things for me. As Steelers fans, like we literally saw this exact same thing play out last year. Joe Burrow throws 4 interceptions against the Steelers. They go back to win the division, and they're in the playoffs. So week 1 slumps are nothing new for the Cincinnati Bengals and even for the Kansas City Chiefs. So, and the Ravens looked shaky, and they lost J.K. Dobbins, and I think they had another injury on the defense, if I'm not wrong.
Marcus Williams,
their safety's out.
Yeah.
So, and we've plenty of times, and I'm so happy to say this because Jamar Chase is on my fantasy team now, but he has cooked the Ravens time and time again. So I think the Bengals can do it. A week 2 comeback. So I'll take the Bengals. I'll go 24-20.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Division games are where logic is kind of thrown out the window and emotions ride high. Like, I mean, the Browns, for example, are 6-1 against the Bengals in the Joe Burrow era, 5-1 against him.
That's amazing.
I think like it was a combination of a week 1 slump plus the Browns just having the Bengals number as they've had over the past few years. I think Joe Burrow, as you touched on, he deserves a little bit of slack because he's had some of those week 1 slumps before. And even though the Bengals lost, I still have more concerns and questions about the Ravens than I do the Bengals off of what they have shown me both this year and last year. So I'd take them again in that classic gritty slugfest, maybe like a 14-10 win for the Bengals.
Ooh,
Wow.
Guys,
nice.
guys, what are we doing here, guys? Why are we kidding ourselves? Like, the Bengals are a good team. I think they'll be fine. Don't get me wrong. It's a week 1 slump, but I don't understand the Ravens hate all of a sudden. I mean, you're talking about Joe Burrow getting a shaky start. Oh, he didn't have his preseason. Lamar hasn't played a game since last year. Lamar's been out since what? Since the middle of the season last year. This is his first game back, and y'all expect him to come back to peak MVP form. A, he didn't need to do it. The Ravens got out in front and just started chugging the ball along, started running the ball. B, he's missing his top target. Mark Andrews wasn't even playing last week, and he's probably going to come back against Cincinnati. And the defense was fine. The defense, in fact, withstood Lamar Jackson mistakes. And J.K. Dobbins, he's out. They've dealt with that before. J.K. Dobbins is unfortunately injury prone.
Yeah.
Hate to say it because I drafted him hoping he'd be my RB2 and it didn't work out. But they got people. They got Justice Hill. They got Gus Edwards. They got Melvin Gordon. I'm not too worried about that end. I mean, I just think it's unfair to put that, to say, oh, the Bengals had a week 1 slump, but not give the same benefit of that to the Ravens, who, in fact, their quarterback, I think, has had a much tougher hill to climb than Joe Burrow does. I think
But the difference is it's Joe Burrow.
Joe Burrow has won MVP last time I checked. Lamar Jackson, I think, is going to have a good game come this week. Deshaun Watson, he looked good against the Bengals. I can only imagine how good Lamar Jackson looks in a second game back, hopefully with Mark Andrews back as well. He looked great with Zay Flowers. I think OBJ hopefully has another good game too. I'm taking the Ravens in this one. I'm going to say I'll agree with, I think, Shree, 24-20. but just flip it with the Ravens winning.
Can I just say something really quick? I think like at the point where you're talking about like Gus Edwards as a weapon, there's a question.
Okay, don't get wrong. He's not.
I get the point you're trying to make, Rohan, and like I respect it, and I agree to a degree. Like, yes, the Ravens are probably a better team than I, as a Browns fan, will give them credit for. But I just have more questions and concerns about them because they have such more limited weapons. Like, they don't have a Jamar on their team. Like, they don't have, like,
Mark
that
Andrews.
guy in there. Like, Mark Andrews, yeah, 2 years ago, Mark Andrews was a Jamar. So, I think, like, just when it comes to the weapons, like, the Bengals are just better built for a rebound than the Ravens. Like, the Ravens had even more struggles than the Bengals, and they haven't at times shown that they can rebound like that. So, I just have some questions and concerns about that.
We'll see. I think you're going to see a different Lamar next week.
Okay.
And it's going to be.
Prove me wrong.
I hope he does. I hope he does.
Yeah.
Okay, next one. My top two teams in the AFC based on my predictions. I think
too.
a lot of us have that as well. Chiefs at Jaguars. Really interesting playoff implications this early on. I think we both expect these two teams to be in the mix. Obviously, we talked about the Chiefs week one already, but the Jaguars pulled off a 31-21 win against the Colts. Score would tell you it was a lot. I mean, if you watch the game, it was a lot closer than that. Jaguars got a last-minute rushing touchdown. Trevor Lawrence, Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley looked great in his return, so much so that Tree decided to trade his entire team in our on the Turf Fantasy League, which we promptly vetoed. Wanted to trade Amon-Ra St. Brown and multiple other players. Rohan, can you?
Yeah, let me pull it up here really quickly.
Let's show the trade.
Because guys, this was one of the most egregious things I've ever seen. Okay, like Shree, I don't know what went through your head, buddy. I don't know what you were thinking.
Keep in mind, Shree proposed this trade to Daniel. It wasn't like Daniel fleecing him.
Shree wanted this trade. Okay, so Daniel would have sent Shree Kenneth Walker III, who by no means had a great game in week one, and Calvin Ridley, who had a 24-point game week one. And Shree was going to send Amon-Ra St. Brown. Immediately, this trade is already looking questionable to me. Okay?
Amon-Ra St. Brown is better than Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, Amon-Ra St. Brown is better than Calvin Ridley, despite what one week might tell you. Amon-Ra had a good week one, too. I don't know what you were thinking. And then it doesn't stop there. Ramondre Stevenson, coming off around a 14-point game week one. Javonte Williams, another good running back, around 10 points week one, in his first game back off of an ACL tear. And Michael Thomas also had a solid week one with around 10 points. All of that for Kenneth Walker and Calvin Ridley. What were you cooking?
I think
please explain what you were cooking.
I don't think you're. I feel like the three of you aren't like giving the audience like the full picture here. Like you're giving like such like I think it's only fair that I have a chance to defend myself, right?
Please
go.
Go.
The floor is yours. I'm actually so excited and so interested to hear what bullshit you cook up here. But go ahead.
No, it's not bullshit. I'll just like say it as it is, right? I just wanted to. So first of all, I'm a very big supporter of having very consistent fantasy teams. So if I have in one league, I have one team, I like to have a similar team because I feel very conflicted during games to support one or the other. Second of all, I didn't even need Javonte Williams or Michael Thomas. They were going to ride my bench the whole year. Those were just players that I would hope Daniel would just see the value in and go. They were never going to be like starters for me because I have Deebo Samuel, Derrick Henry, like other flex players that I could have used. Oh, or like not flex players, but I have other people over. Why are you guys looking at me like that? They were gonna ride my bench the whole year, genuinely. So when I think of like my starting lineup, like that's what I would have wanted, and that's why I went for the trade. There's a reason why I made the On the Turf playoff league, and it's because people have historically disagreed with my trades. I'm happy to I made a new trade. I'm happy with my team. I think the people looking at me right now actually performed worse than me in week one. So. Actually, I'm
just gonna say that
sure, you
for anyone
well
watching,
one, that's our point. You performed
why
well.
Would you shed all of your depth in week one?
No.
As the guy that won on the turf last year, you're a dumbass.
It's okay.
All right. Anyway,
it's all right.
We got completely.
You guys are 0-1. I'm 1-0. I know what I'm doing. Oh, you're 1-0. It's okay, Rohan. I scored 4 more points than you last year, so
the Chiefs are also 0-1, but we're not saying the Chiefs are out of the playoff race. So let's get back on topic. That was my way of transitioning us back to Chiefs-Jaguars. The Chiefs are going at Jaguars. Jaguars, Calvin Ridley, great game. The Chiefs looking to avenge the sins of losing to the Detroit Lions. Still the Kansas City Chiefs, still Patrick Mahomes, still Andy Reid. Travis Kelce might be back. Chris Jones is back after getting a new contract worth up to $25 million with incentives. I think this is going to be a big game for Patrick Mahomes. We know how competitive he is. We know how pissed he can get after a loss. I look for Patrick Mahomes to get like 4 touchdowns, win this game. I'm going to say the Chiefs win this 28-21 with Patrick Mahomes putting up an amazing effort to get his team back on the win column.
Yeah, I'll jump on you there. I agree. If it's a big if, but if Kelce is back, then I agree. If Kelce's out, I think I might take the Jags, but because that offense really struggled without Kelce last week. But if Kelce's back, I expect a really, really big game. I traded for Kelce. I can't wait to see him back out there because week one in a way was so good. Like it made me feel so good because I realized how important Travis Kelce is to this team. Like he is like this year, especially more than last year without Juju. I think he was the main receiver last year. Travis Kelce is gonna eat. He's gonna eat good. And I think if he's back, Mahomes is gonna be mad. This Jags team looked for some reason. I expect they should have taken care of the Colts much easier than they did. Maybe just week one things, but I expect the Chiefs to be pissed off. I'll take them around 31-24.
Like, yeah, if we were gonna like sit around here and talk for like 10 minutes about the Bengals being pissed and making a comeback, or the Ravens being pissed and out for blood, like the Chiefs sure as hell, like the Super Bowl champions, are gonna come out swinging. I think they had a little bit of a Super Bowl hangover combined with Travis Kelce like being out. That were some pretty real problems. And if Travis Kelce is back, like this is still the team that won the Super Bowl. And like I think people are sleeping on that.
Sure.
All right. I'm going to put this into perspective just like I did the Bears and the Packers. So the last time the Jaguars beat the Chiefs, I was 5 years old, actually. So I wasn't 14. I was actually 5 years old. They're 0-7
How many
against
more other weird stats do you have related to your age?
I'm just trying to put this into perspective, right? Like the Jaguars are 0-7 against the Chiefs since 2009, and Trevor Lawrence is 0-2 against Patrick Mahomes. You combine those with the fact that Patrick Mahomes might get Travis Kelce back, and the fact that Patrick Mahomes is mad right now, and because of the fact that the Chiefs are probably the best team in the NFL, even if they did have an off game in week one, I'm taking the Jags. I mean, shit. I'm taking the Chiefs.
Is that a Freudian slip?
But yeah, I'll take the Chiefs.
Yeah, okay. Now, to why we brought Adam on, let's talk Browns Steelers. We haven't talked about the Steelers' absolute destruction by the San Francisco 49ers.
Can I start, please?
Go ahead.
30.
May I
Yeah,
start?
go ahead. Ron.
Go ahead. We'll go last.
Thank you, guys. Because I was made to look like a madman last week, okay? I was made to look like I was going batshit insane for suggesting a very reasonable outcome of the Niners beating the Steelers.
That's reasonable.
It is quite reasonable, right? But what did I hear? Mike Tomlin's best week was coach. Kyle Shanahan sucks.
Okay, Arjun and I were trying to pull a Camille here.
Kenny's gonna take a leap. TJ Watt is him. TJ Watt's gonna wreak havoc
TJ Watt was
on this.
really good.
He was
TJ
great.
Watt was really good, honestly. Yeah, it was insane. I thought I was going crazy. I thought I was in a mental asylum. And what happened? I saw a stat at one point. The Niners had 199 yards, and the Steelers had 1 singular yard.
I actually sent that in the group chat.
Okay,
Yeah,
good
everyone saw that.
That's right. Kenny Pickett threw 2 picks. Kenny, what's his name?
Kenny picks a lot.
There it is. The vaunted defense found themselves down 20-0, just like that. Can't snap it, just like that.
Yeah.
Brandon Ayuk, supposedly the 4th option, and my fantasy breakout star in my team, had two touchdowns,
Who
over
drafted
100
him, by the way?
yards.
Who drafted him?
Who did?
I did. And you guys made fun of me for the pick.
Who currently owns him?
Okay.
Thank you.
Fair
And what did he? Oh, he mossed the remnants of Patrick Peterson. I mean, come on, guys. Complete destruction. the Steelers may end up doing their BS and getting 7, 8, 9 wins, but let's never, ever, ever put them in the conversation as a contender. Let's never put them in the conversation as a contender for winning the AFC North. Let's never put them in the conversation for being a team that's going to make playoff noise, okay? Let's not do that. Let's not get crazy with ourselves, okay? The Steelers are going to get demolished by the... Okay, demolished might be a strong word. Steelers are going to lose to the Browns this week. It's a divisional game. I'm sure it'll be close, but... Browns looked great last week. Myles Garrett looked great. And the entire Browns defense looked phenomenal. And then you put Kenny Pickett in a situation where he's down his best route runner with Deontay Johnson likely out. George Pickens and the skeleton of Allen Robinson will have to do the rest for him. I don't like the odds here. I don't know. And again, I don't know why we're talking about the Steelers on this podcast when they're in a game that they're very clearly going to lose. 23-10, Browns win.
I think it's due to some of the bias of some of on the turf people.
Maybe. Is that a crazy theory?
Hey, I'm just gonna say our fan base has a lot of Steelers fans. We gotta preach to the choir here.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm gonna go really quickly because
that was just some of the most insane BS I've ever seen on this podcast.
Rohan, to everyone who's watching,
beat the 49ers.
Here, let's
Rohan is
talk.
Yeah, I'd like to just say that Rohan, everything we did in the Week 1 overreaction segment, Rohan just embodied that to the fullest effect. He completely overreacted to the Steelers losing to... I thought the Niners would take a little while to get going. They're still the best team in the league, in my opinion. They are, and the Steelers are also the best team in the league. You know what? It's fine. We move on. We move on from these things.
Did you say the Steelers are the best team in the league?
They lost to the best team in the league.
Oh, okay.
So, the Niners...
I can see that argument. I see the argument. Yeah,
the Niners are a very good team. The Steelers are not going to play the Niners every week. And look, this is perfect because they're playing the Browns. And as we all know, Juju said it best. Godspeed on the New England Patriots, my friend. But he said the Browns are the Browns. And the Browns are, in fact, still the Browns. I don't care if they beat the Bengals. They always beat the Bengals. The Browns are still the Browns. Deshaun Watson looked terrible. Yeah, he rushed for a couple touchdowns. Oh, wow, he rushed for... No one cares, okay? Deshaun Watson is a terrible person and a terrible quarterback. I think the Steelers, T.J. Watt... Guess what T.J. Watt did? T.J. Watt averages 3 sacks, I think, a game against the Browns. I think he's going to go on a tear this game, destroy Deshaun Watson, and they lost their right tackle. Perfect. Their backup right tackle will be going against T.J. Watt. I
do hope T.J. Watt destroys Deshaun Watson. If that, I do hope that occurs.
That's fair.
I do hope that occurs.
I won't even try.
But if we're going to the X's and O's here, I think the Steelers will be able to actually run the offense they want to. I think running the ball, Najee Harris, Jalen Warren, get it going early, keep it a defensive game. I think the Steelers win. I'll say 17-10. I think a gritty performance. Kenny Pickett puts together a game-winning drive. And all is right in the world when the Browns lose.
Let's okay. Can we stop with this Kenny stuff, guys?
Rohan? You see one game and you're like, oh, Kenny's terrible. Do you see those 2 game-winning drives last
year? Kenny didn't impress.
Two game-winning drives down the stretch, 8-2 down the stretch. Shree, go ahead. Tell him what he needs to know.
All right. Okay, here's the thing, guys. First of all, we talked about Week 1 slumps. I'm not saying the Steelers are the Chiefs or anything, but everyone has a bad game Week 1. That's fine. If anything you know about the Steelers, A, we own the Browns, but number 2, we always bounce back.
How old were you the last time the Browns beat the Steelers? Sure.
What? It was 3 years ago in the playoffs.
I know, that's my point.
Okay,
that's my point. It wasn't that long ago.
Except that, that playoffs game was kind of bad, but. The point I'm trying to say is we had of course we had a couple injuries. I think Cam Hayward being injured is probably the biggest loss that we had. Deontay Johnson being injured, yes, he might be the best route runner, but the one that has the best connection with Kenny Pickett is George Pickens, and he's still there, and he's gonna cook Denzel Ward, hopefully. All right. Okay, I don't think I'm helping my case here, but the point is, I don't care if Kenny Pickett didn't have a good game. I'm not doing a good job here. Here's the thing. I think the Steelers, what I said last year, Kenny Pickett, if he is able to play like he did at the end of last year, then they're able to have a competitive game against the Cleveland Browns. He had an off game. Okay, that's fine. The Steelers still have a capable offense. The Browns don't have as good of a defense as the 49ers. And the Browns' offense didn't look too promising against a horrendous Bengals Week 1. So that's what I'm going to say. But I'm going to take the Steelers here as well, just because I'm a Steelers fan. But I'll take the Steelers 13-10.
No logic whatsoever.
Okay,
no logic whatsoever. I'll just take this.
Can I use some logic now?
Yes.
Can I offer?
Yeah,
some
go
logic?
ahead.
Yeah,
I want to
go
hear
ahead.
some facts and
I'm
logic.
just on here as the token both sides for two very biased hosts. But you know what? I'm about to lay out some facts for you. Yes, I am concerned a little bit about the offensive line, particularly with Conklin injured. He's a great tackle, and with that definitely opens up some holes for TJ Watt. But you know what? I'm gonna call TJ Watt a scrub to the extent that I can call him a scrub, and not like karma.
Excuse me? Excuse me?
Okay. Let's
Okay.
not get crazy about it.
Excuse me?
Objection.
But,
Let's not get crazy.
I get obviously Deshaun Watson wasn't the best passing quarterback on last weekend.
Yeah,
Neither was
I'll
Joe
say.
Burrow, and I think the rain had a very huge effect onto that. Deshaun Watson looked a hell of a lot better than he did last year, and I think he's really going to start to settle into this offense. He's going to link up with Amari Cooper. He's going to link up with David Njoku. And at the end of the day, I hate to say this, the Browns just have more weapons than the fucking Steelers. You got Amari Cooper and David Njoku against fucking George Pickens. It's not a one-to-one comparison.
And
Pat Fryermuth, Calvin Austin, Najee Harris.
Yeah, exactly. And Nick Chubb.
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry. What names did you just spew out of your mouth, Shree?
Straight.
Okay, Calvin
Sure,
Austin,
you got this one. That was all you, bro.
Say it again.
George Pickens, Calvin Austin, Pat Fryermuth. Oh, is he injured? Fuck.
Okay.
God damn it.
Najee Harris, Jalen Warren,
Also,
a little Allen
Nick
Robinson
Chubb.
for you.
Nick Chubb. Yes, Nick Chubb.
is better than all
Nick
these
Chubb
players
is
you're
my
talking
guy.
about.
Okay,
absolutely
yes, the odds are stacked against us, but it's the Steelers. They have a chance. That's what we're going with.
The
I'm
Browns
sorry,
are still
I'm
the
sorry,
Browns.
I'm sorry.
That is my
I have
argument.
been sick of this it's the Steelers bullshit since the Browns finally got their number back from the Steelers during that blowout playoff game. Since
that happened
then, that happened, yes, that happened 2-3 years ago. But let's not forget, I'm pretty sure they split last year. They've been trading wins over the past few
we
years. with
swept
the
last
Steelers.
year.
We swept.
It hasn't been like the
Oh,
Steelers
wait, no,
with
actually,
Ben
we're wrong.
Roethlisberger winning 8 fucking straight games in a row like the past. The Steelers don't have the Browns' number anymore. The culture is very different from the Browns than they were in the 2010s. Yes, the Browns have problems. I will say that. As much as I want them to go all the way, win the Super Bowl, go 19-0, 20-0, that's probably not going to happen. But what I can say is that this is not the same Browns team that just becomes a shell of its former self when it goes up against the Steelers, because the Steelers aren't the same big bad fucking Steelers that they were with Antonio Brown and fucking Ben Roethlisberger. That's the name. Le'Veon Bell too. Thank you. So the point I'm trying to say here is I respect the hell out of Mike Tomlin. I think he had a great coaching career and is a great coach. But I think there's too much hyping him up and the Steelers up just because he finds some way to get a bullshit 8-8 every single year. He's a good coach, but just because you still have a great coach does not mean it can compensate for Kenny fucking Picks-a-Lot and George Pickens. Okay, the odds are stacked against them, and let's not forget that this game, even though it's in Pittsburgh, the Browns are still favored to win this game. That has never happened. That the Browns are favored to win a game that was formerly called Heinz Field. I don't know its new name. So, that is a pretty big fucking deal in and of itself. And if all of the logic, all of the stats still doesn't sway you, this is a fucking divisional game. And last year, I think the Browns had one of the best divisional records in the division. The Bengals were fucking 1-5 despite winning the division because of so great a record. The Browns are just a different beast in divisional games. Yes, they'll shit the bed against the fucking Lions or the Buccaneers. But in the divisional games, it's emotional and it's different, especially in the AFC North.
That was a terrific monologue. I love
opening statements.
that was an amazing soliloquy, Adam. But I'm just gonna say, let's wind the clocks back about 7 months. All right, we were in January. The Browns were coming into Heinz Field. They were like, "Oh, we're gonna destroy the Steelers. We're gonna make them have an 8-9 record." Kenny Pickett, George Pickens, TJ Watt beat the Browns 28-14.
It's almost like it was a quarterback that hadn't played in 2 years and didn't even know the weapons, combined with a series of injuries both on the offensive line and the wide receivers. It's almost like it was a hobbled Browns team limping towards the end.
And guess
was
what?
This the last game of the year?
Was it the last game? It was
Week 18.
Close. It was towards the end, I think.
Yeah,
Week
okay,
18.
You're talking about Week 18 when Cleveland was already out of the playoff race.
And
That's
Yeah,
what
Deshaun
that's what
I
you're
am.
talking
just
to me
like
about.
was a completely
You're
different
telling
Deshaun
me
Watson.
about this Browns team that clearly didn't care about this week, and okay.
Okay.
buddy.
If you want to talk about scores, 40-28. Does that ring a bell? Does
Yes,
that ring
it
a
does.
bell?
It does
3
ring a
years ago.
bell.
Good. I just want to remind you.
Yeah, guess what? Both of our quarterbacks are gone. Baker's gone. Ben is gone.
Yeah.
And your
Yeah.
coach wasn't even there for that game. He had COVID. You had a backup coach for it and for that game.
Yeah. And we still won.
Look, I'm just gonna say, coaching, I like Mike Tomlin. Defense, I like TJ Watt.
I
Offense,
think we gotta stop here, dude.
Offense, who do you
I
like?
like Kenny
Who do you
Pickett.
like on the
Who
offense?
do you like? Okay.
Don't say.
Hey,
don't
we're
say
done
it.
here. We're done here. This
But
is
like
getting out of hand.
before even getting into all of that, like the Browns defense, like Denzel Ward looked really nice. Grant Delpit is finally coming into himself. Like as a great safety to like complement Denzel Ward. And then there's still Myles fucking Garrett, who every year is a DPOY candidate. And like I know there's all this dick sucking with like TJ Watt, like, oh, he's so great. Oh, he gets all these different sacks. Myles Garrett literally set every single sack record in Browns franchise history.
Hey, guess
And-
what?
and
TJ Watt set the
Steelers-
record
and
for
TJ Watt
the
did the same for the
NFL.
Steelers.
I get it. But I get it. I respect TJ Watt. I just feel like respect is a two-way street. And right now it's feeling pretty one way, where everyone hypes up TJ Watt, but somehow forgets Myles Garrett is on the other side of the ball and is going to give Kenny Pickett nightmares, especially against a questionable offensive.
Miles Garrett is better than TJ Watt.
Thank you.
But y'all
yes.
already have that conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
Miles Garrett is objectively better than TJ Watt. He just doesn't have Cam Hayward,
No, exactly.
another top 10 defensive player in the interior
Like,
to take away pressure from him.
He gets like triple teamed every time and still sets sack records.
Yeah. I don't like. No. I don't get me wrong. I think TJ Watt is amazing.
Yes.
I think he'll be a DPOY candidate this year
Exactly.
and every year of his prime. Don't get me wrong. But objectively, I think Myles Garrett is better. He doesn't have the same help that TJ Watt has on the defensive line. Yeah. Listen, dude. I changed my mind. I hope we talk about the Steelers every week because I like being right every week. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's talk about the Steelers every week. Okay. Because I like being right.
So
I really like being right.
I
Okay,
don't
well,
think I
all of
picked
this
a
is
score yet
all of this
in
is
all
getting
my
cut
rankings.
anyway. All of this is getting cut. And
So
so
I'm gonna say, like, I think this is probably going to be, like, my hope and dream, and I know I'm gonna come back to bite this, is like a 24-10 Browns victory. Knowing the Browns, it's probably going to be like a 10-7 victory or some shit, like some stupid drama that's really close and edged out until the end that pulls at my heartstrings if they do manage to pull it off. So I'm kind of giving both of those as kind of my hope and my dream, and the cynic in me.
all right, that was that was tough. We have a great slate of week 2 games. Let's hope for a really good week 2, and all these players stay healthy. Prayers out to Jets fans. It's gonna be a tough couple weeks. Hang in there. Thank you guys so much for listening. Check out our Instagram pics. We'll start power rankings in a couple weeks, and obviously we have our weekly episodes.
Yeah.
My name is Arjun Ryan,
I'm Shribam Khanda.
And I'm Ron Patel.
And I'm Adam Hamdan.
and we'll see you next week in week 3 on the turf.